and good afternoon, wherever you are. Thank you for joining this session this afternoon. I value your time you've taken out to discuss a little bit about how we lead from the future. Joining me is also Andre Biener, my colleague. And if you have questions, comments, please type in the chat because I cannot see the chat, but he can, and we'll be able to answer the questions or listen to your thoughts about some of the things. All right, so let's jump straight in. Do you remember this guy? I'm not sure. If not, please check out at Martin Wazowski. He also had a session. He's the chief futurist and head of NVT Future Hub. That's where I work. Reason I'm saying is, as a futurist, we both work together in the same team, and he told me, Upen, we are in amazing time. Future is faster than you think, which means never in the human history has the present been so temporary. It's unbelievable. That gets us thinking, and this is our Monday morning. Welcome to how we work and live at the Future Hub. I'm excited to share with you a little bit on how the journey until now has been. But importantly, I'm curious to see what is the kind of journey you will begin. What you see here is about the last 40 years of transformation that has impacted our own lives and, to an extent, converged, simplified, got us into a new value. Now, if you look at this, for many people, this is the job done, right? So a lot of people have managed to get you through this transformation. And for a lot of people like you and our future colleagues, employees, customers, partners, this is a new start point. I'm curious, what will you do with that start point? How do you think we will live and work in the next 20 years? Please write us in the chat, because if that's your new start point, the industrial transformation has brought us still here. We know that last 2 years, without this, we couldn't have actually been able to survive the pandemic. We were able to connect just with this. And this has also given us a lot of personal values. Tell us in the chat, and I'm very curious to see where you can take this. What is your role in taking from here to the next level of transformation? My name is Upen Barve. I'm the innovation fusionist and head of Future Hub engagements. So you imagine, okay, what is Future Hub? Future Hub, we have a mission to, basically know and show what's next for SAP and the future of work. Why? Because yes, SAP has been in the business of work, in a business of changing work from digitizing to digitalization, right? And keeping that human quality time at work. And that's what we'll continue. So we know more and show more as well. And we do that by, having long-term vision, make it tangible, do concept prototypings. And that's why we lead from the future with the vision. And that's what I'm going to share with you. If you hear Martin Wazowski and his 9 tools, they're amazing. So imagine you got that. How will you express? How will you use them to sort of your daily work to craft futures? And that's why we call it crafting, because this is something, where your human element will matter. For today, we got 3 chapters, right? We're going to talk about some arts, some crafts, and I'm going to share very little bit about, what's the outlook, what's the direction where we are going. All right, let's start. The first one, really about the future. Again, why should you worry? Because you, me, your cats, dogs, everybody we know are going to spend more time in the future. So we better have an idea where we want to go. It's definitely not as linear as you see. It's definitely fast. But future is, you cannot predict it, but you can imagine it. If you can imagine it, you can shape it. If you can shape it, you can show it, and you can build it together with folks. And for that, the first tool, imagination, that comes to your mind, right? This is a business activity, right? I don't know if any MBA school actually teaches that, but we do have it as a kid, and we kind of stopped to use it as we grow towards, our colleges and education and so on. But this is used as a business activity. And imagine this, we did this pre-conference, right? This is one example where completely different context. This was about an experience. We flew from Frankfurt to Orlando for our Sapphire conference. And I was told, okay, can we do a pre-conference? I said, pre-conference is basically something that happens one day before the actual conference. We said, we're going to do this in the aircraft. You think we're crazy? And we said, yes, we are. So let's do this. We teamed up with Lufthansa, 29 minutes flat. We were able to set up a conference in there live, and your audience could participate as well with in the chats with their own handheld devices, so that we don't disturb everybody, because it was a regular flight. Now you will say, okay, that's great, Upen, but what about the last 2 years when our life is yes, you were thinking of making airplane rides a little bit more fancy and make use of that time during flying, but then we haven't been flying really, have we? This is how our life has been in 2021. So, but I'm curious to hear from you. In the last 2 years, so in the year 2020 and until now, what is the most memorable conference you have seen or you've heard? Please write in the chat. I'm very, very curious. While you write, let me show you what is my most memorable one. This is something we created in Berlin for the launch of the Intelligent Enterprise Institute. COVID regulations and everything in there, you have an option whether to do something or not to do something, and people were tired of something very virtual. As a fusionist, I was able to pull together two concepts we know, a drive-in cinema and Zoom, right? This one. However, when you drive in, you actually drove into a Zoom conference. How about that? We had speakers on site and 100 participants on Zoom and 20 on site and 300 watching us live on what is happening. This is where you say, okay, change status quo, apply your imagination, connect things and make it happen, because these experiences are the ones that people will remember and you take them forward. So that was something I wanted to show you. So meanwhile, let me take a pause and see, Andre, if we have any thoughts about the conference or how we will live and work in future.
Yeah, maybe regarding the conferences, there is one mentioning by Concrete Laugh House of Beautiful Business. I don't really know what it is, but I think you do. The second one is I joined a virtual bootcamp using virtual chair. So that sounds interesting. And the last one from Maximilian, Martin Wysowski was definitely a memorable conference.
Yes, definitely by himself, and I'm glad you have these experiences and you also saw what we created, because we have to imagine, we have to put things together, make the connections and move, right? Thanks, Andre. Is there anything else before I move on?
No, you can move on.
All right, super. So thanks for your contribution, guys. Yes, again, bringing that imagination back, right? You see the stuff in Star Trek is live. These are the devices that we're using. We are helping human beings drive more inclusion. These are a lot of these are SAP customers who have made the science fiction into not only science reality, but a business reality, which means, commercialization of those imaginations. And we need to tell those, articulate those well so that we can shape it, making new connections with those imaginations, and not only challenging the status quo, but hey, how about this? Getting excited, making it a bit more playful, and on how you explore things, expecting the unexpected, recovering from those failures, and make those anomalies, take those anomalies also very, very seriously. Because the change that is happening is not anymore these discrete moments in our life, which will happen once in a decade. This is like every single minute, and it's like a continuous flow. But change is not only constant. Change is something that guides us into the future, right? Which means change itself, if we understand it with the three distinct qualities. One, it's continuous, right? So it's a continuous expression coming to you. Okay, now quantum, now 6, what else? It's going to keep on happening. The speed of innovations is not going to slow down. How do you use that point of view and move forward? It changes definitely exponential. We have seen that, and it is convergent in many, many ways. Next tool that comes up handy, team up. When you get excited, team up. so that somebody can complete that passion. Pursue your projects, and then once you team up, look what happens. A new age partnership happens. Everybody was busy looking at Under Armour, saying, hey, these guys are stealing a little bit of market from perhaps a Nike or Adidas or Puma or the likes of it. They said, oh, wait a second, they're up to something else. They are actually connecting those t-shirts, so the t-shirts have some kind of data gathering, which is, wait a second, they together with Richard Branson, what happened is Under Armour becomes the first commercial spacesuit maker, and helping Richard Branson complete his dream as well. So these unexpectedness will lead you to amazing partnerships, new forms of business, new business models. Now you can imagine it, you have an idea, you speak about it, you find the right folks to move ahead. Because future is not a solo act. And like we say at SAP, remember, together we got this. All right. So these were some of the arts that, with the 9 tools and these arts, when it come, you can make it actually possible. And these were real life examples that I gave you where we were part of making things happen. Now you're ready for some crafts. So first one, very, very popular. Everybody knows. Few people do it well, but I believe there is something we need to do at Trend Watch. Trend Watch is not only technology trends, right? We need to make sure what is happening is known. It may not be relevant to you because each of these technologies and social trends, and so they're developing at a different pace. It's not invented by one, so it's not a release 1, release 2, release 3. It will happen that it will sort of evolve in a different pace altogether. But one needs to have an idea. Put it on your, I love Canvas, it's white. Put it, drag it, whatever you feel is relevant, put it there. Then you double click on it and say, okay, what could the combination or an individual trend be of importance to my individual self, my business self, which means the team or the organization or the country I'm operating it, right? And extrapolate that view. So if you imagine you make yourself like a nice trend radar. So you know things, you observe them, put them on the list and say, hey, do we need to watch this space more? Do we need to do a POC? How do we move ahead with that, right? So that's the idea with the Trend Watch. I'm happy to share with you a few of them that we have collected with SAP Insights. Take this QR code or go to sap.com/insights, where we have articulated, and we've put in our thought leadership about different topics, as something as very simple as what is ERP, to what is future of ERP, what is future of work, how do we impact and can impact positively the planet and the people who are, who we can sort of help it with our technology, with our mindsets, with our people. So please make use of it. This is something I'd like to help you. The next one, mindset, right? Sometimes we call it a backlog syndrome. Like if you're committed, if you have all your budgets and resources already committed on 1st, 2nd, 3rd, 10th January, and you get an amazing idea in July, because yes, we are humans, we get ideas. How do you plan it? So when you're becoming new managers, think about how you want to drive and support that culture, because that mindset change is a process. It doesn't happen overnight. It needs your support, your mentorship, your guidance, your curiosity that you need to drive, right? So that is another tool, I would say, very important, driving that, not only having that mindset, but also promoting that mindset. Next is about skills and learning. Obviously, we are also here, and SAP has a vast majority of completely democratized learning. And because we think this is not only our responsibility towards individuals, towards society, but I believe this is something that is the least we can do. Democratizing the knowledge, you can look at open.sap.com to understand different things we're doing, and some of them are very deep techy, beautiful, get your certifications, to get to know about the thought leadership topics and listen from the experts, because that will spark ideas. But individually, how do you manage that? If you look at the skills outlook, and why are we investing in all these platforms, right? Is because 2022 is actually tomorrow, right? It's just knocking. Remember, future is fast. Suddenly you'll realize, oops, Happy New Year. yes, there are a lot of skills that are in decline. How do you want to make a play? And what's the skills that are on rise? And this is a list that is shared by World Economic Forum every year. Please take a look at that. And because you will need about 101 days of learning by the end of next year per person. I don't know any organization or any individual who's actually managed to award himself or herself 101 days of learning. So how do we actually relook at learning? There are many new trends on how you can understand, but the reason to do that is, number one, we are moving away from the three-stage life that we had. Remember, we learn, we understand the what, how, and why, and keep learning, and then we get ready to work. Then we work, and we learn more and more during work, and then at some point of time we retire. And some use the retirement as helping to coach someone. But welcome to the new era where it's a multi-stage life, right? Because in this case, we are not, we have to do it continuously, which means unlearning becomes an important tool. Remember all this, we're expecting that, life expectancy will grow, which means, not only you have to learn, but you have to learn how to unlearn so that you can relearn. And that's going to be a continuous cycle. You will have multiple start points, multiple roles. I'm not even saying jobs. You'll have probably multiple roles. So how does one keep itself up to date? And that's an interesting conversation to have, right from micro learning to learning on the job to understanding, coaching, shadow, whichever tool makes sense at that time. And we are very happy at SAP that we actually promote all of that and take learning very, very seriously. And you should too, and contribute on how a society can, learn more, right? And right, so that's the next one. Now I want to share with you a method, the method which is used for crafting futures. Remember, it's about arts and craft of leading from the future. How do we actually articulate the future? First, with the tools I told you, with the mindsets, we look at this method. It's called the 3 horizon method. The first one is actually continuous horizon. We call it the now. That's where you actually have solutions that are ready to consume. If you're a sales company, then you have solutions that are ready to sell. That's your portfolio. And we are continuously innovating in that. But the challenge is that many people think that's the only play field. And that's where we have to step in and say, guys, no, that's not. And what's the timeline there? We have the next level of next horizon of innovation, which is adjacent innovation. That's where you're ready to co-innovate. You don't necessarily have all the tools, but then you can forecast from the first into the second. However, that is also not enough. Future is faster. There's a third horizon. That's where you lead with the vision and the thought leadership, right? This is where you do fundamentally transformative innovation. And since you cannot forecast from the third horizon, because it's impossible. It's impossible. You just do not have simply enough proof points to forecast. So how do we deal with it? How do we approach in a connected way? We basically use it, the combination of forecasting and backcasting, right? You backcast, and we have developed methods for how we can be future ready by backcasting. These arrows, they look great right now. They will be a little bit skewed, but that's okay. That's your and mine job to be done. Curate the innovation pipeline, impact the first horizon, and connect 3. These are actually overlaps. Now you will say, Upen, this is great, but it sounds like a lot of theory. Let me put this into practice. I was happy to develop a method. I call this a slingshot method because, yes, moonshots are great, but not everything that you drive is actually a moonshot within a company. But you need to have multiple ways in which you use that kind of thinking and apply it to what you're doing. So let me introduce you to the slingshot method. I released it at the South by Southwest in 2019, and happy to share with you today. And this is what we use. So remember the 3 horizons I talked briefly. What you do is actually establish the vision, its content, and the framework, right? So that's your kind of rock. You now look at the gravity. Don't use the gravity of your current planet, Horizon 1, but use the gravity of the third horizon. Remember the vision, the thought leadership, the transformative innovation part. So you set it out in kind of a trajectory so that you are more equipped with that to drive new proof points, right? So we send there in the second, we basically, looking at the expected, looking at the unexpected, trying to, round off and establishing those, make it visible, right? And then we come into the second horizon, which is the third step. That's where you make the imaginary real. You activate everyone and, on how to co-innovate. Okay, very good, but that's the mistake. From here, don't land because you're not done yet. The job's not done. You need to take those energies and then go back into the third horizon, right? It sounds complex, but I will give you one example of a company who did that very many years ago. I think it was in the 80s, early 80s, 81 too. They said, okay, let's create a book which you can write, which is probably connected with all the books in the world and has that knowledge. And then they kept this idea, and that's a paper prototype, by the way. I mean, not paper, but you know what I mean, plastic, etc. And then along came, there's, okay, how can we come closer and try to build it? Then you build it further. Aha, computer happens. Then there is a machine. Oh, wait a second. If we do a little bit further further work on this and experiment and connect it to the first horizon, we can actually commercialize something. Remember, I told you don't land, because this is the where even if you commercialize something, you keep at it, you go ahead, and that's what you have at the moment. That's what Apple did. It's an example I want to say how you actually apply. Stay true to the vision and continue to connect this, lead from the third horizon, curate your innovation pipeline and connect the first horizon, right? So that was the method. Now, this was what I wanted to share from the arts and crafts and the methods, how we use it, some examples. One bonus for you today, just because it's SAP Student Day, right, Andre? I would say, guys, have fun and add some spice, make it spicy. Because if you don't, you're going to get bored. If you're going to get bored, you're not going to do justice to anything, right? So let's do that. And as a final thing I want to share with you, is the outlook. I'm sure you've heard it. Please hear again. This is our long-term innovation vision. Human ingenuity and machine intelligence and empathic symbiosis. Human ingenuity in the center, the augmented me, putting herself into the center, and then augmenting enterprise level decisions, augmenting, automating basically the business operations so that the mundane tasks can be done. We can use the evolution of machine intelligence, new technologies, and then also about self-organizing networks, where we believe we'll have a massive play to do an amplified enterprise of any size by using autonomous and distributed networks. Of course, this builds on not only artificial intelligence, machine learning, but also decentralization technologies like blockchain, etc., evolving, and we're using our largest business network that we have. So this is our vision. And I showed you the arts and crafts with which we use the vision, and we are creating the future. I hope that that you get it, you find your role here. We'd love to understand how you can contribute, because if this, if this is first step, second step, this is what you will see where we want to go, and each one of you has a role to play. Because in the end, we have to answer, why are you relevant 10 years from now? And if we can't articulate that, we probably will not be. So let's be serious about it. And that's what I wanted to share, Andre. Thank you very much, because if we do this well, we will be able to map, build, and inspire the future where we want to live in. And as Martin says, we better do this, because otherwise we're going to get a future that's handed over to us and we might not like it. So thanks very much for your time, your attention, and I'm happy to listen to Andre if there are any questions, suggestions.
Yeah. Exactly. So first of all, thank you very much, Upen, for your inspiration and your very motivating talk. I mean, I always know that you are very great at that. This is a great slide, so I just wanted to highlight that briefly before we come to one question asked. So if you say what I've learned today, that's really great, but I would like to make a more deep dive into certain topics. So please use the available offerings we have. So on the one hand side, you obviously see the build your skills. So if you say, I would like to learn more about certain technologies, certain products of SAP, use the Zap.com Next Gen website. We have a variety of social media channels available where you get details and you can keep yourself informed about activities and events to build your skills. And on the other hand, if you say that's really great, I would like to try it out. I would like to intern at SAP. I would like to work as a working student, or maybe I would like to start my career at SAP. So please use the career website. There are also several social media channels available where you can get all the information to start your career. And also what I would like to ask you, listen to the recordings which were recorded today. There's a lot of input on different career opportunities, on a lot of different technologies. So use that. There was one question asked by Mark, and I promised him that I would raise that question to you, Upen. So you said in your presentation that quality control is on decline, and I kind of asked Mark for a little bit more details on that, and he said that there were some statements with rising and declining tasks. I'm just curious because from my perspective, quality control is very important, or was it meant that not doing that task manually but automatically? So maybe you can say a few words about that.
Thank you, and I think you answered this right. So managing managing people, managing quality control, as in physically, the human input there, that is on decline, because we have now the technologies have reached in such a way that you can do quality control measures very, very differently, almost even proactively. So that's what is meant there. And there's a big list, actually. Check out on the World Economic Forum, Mark. It's a continuous source. So there's already 2022, and I'm sure what would be interesting is to look at 2022 to 2025, which is a very big transformative time for all of us. So please take a look at that, on how declining doesn't mean absent. It's declining means that it is declining its need. It will not go off today. But if you see what's going down and what's coming up, what are the rising skills, those are very, very good indicators of how we as humans will start to respect and value work. We don't want to be working as machines, but we want to do high quality work. And this is a good indication of that.
Good. With that, I think we're at the end of the time. So I leave the last words to you, Upen.
Well, get excited. I started my journey with SAP as a student, and even today, I'm as excited as my day one, because this is our life. This is about future. It should always feel like day one. So I encourage you to get to know more, appreciate this couple of things. Let's get excited and build the future that we want to live in. Thank you very much for your attention. I really appreciate it. Bye-bye for now.